Welcome to Resilience plus Rise, the podcast, where resilience is not just a concept, but a lived experience. I'm your host, Thomas Carrier, a resilience coach, an ultramarathoner, and a relentless believer in the human's spirit ability to rise. This podcast is a companion to my book, Resilience plus Rise 26.2 Transformative Miles to Unleash Your Marathon of Life Mindset. Each episode is a raw, unfiltered dive into the story of those who have faced life's hardest battles and emerged stronger. Today's guest, for me, it is absolutely an honor to re-invite Joshua T Berglan, who a lot of us know his title is the world's mayor. Joshua has been on Resilience Plus Rise, the podcast. Do go into my YouTube channel. You will find quite a bit about Joshua. But what's exciting about Joshua is that there have been elements in his life, hardships, challenges, but that has not been the defining moment. His defining moment was rising above, being resilient. He has been a media architect.
Mm,
His goal is helping the underserved communities, building legacies
mm,
in media company. He's also an award-winning producer,
mm,
a host. He loves dabbling into technology, and he's been so involved with the global governance. When we look at it, as I mentioned, the challenges have been many. It was not life was not given to him on a silver platter.
mm.
His was about battling addictions, homelessness, diagnosis of the worst diseases. But that was his beginning.
Mm.
We can go on talking about his history, and in case I will be putting out Joshua's information in the comments below. He's also an author, written around a lot of books.
Mhm.
Very, very interesting. Anyway, without much wasting of time, let's
Uh,
jump to the conversation. Joshua, welcome to Resilience Plus Rise, the podcast.
My brother, welcome. Well, thank you for having me. I don't welcome me. Well, almost welcome back myself. I was actually saying, I was trying to say, thank you for having me back. I am truly honored. I love being in your presence and sharing space with you. So whether we're doing a podcast or just having a conversation. So,
True, true, true. So, Joshua, one of the questions that comes up is that you have been on this trajectory about giving space to the underprivileged or giving space to many people so that they come in the limelight,
mm,
whether they are dealing with education, whether they are dealing with challenges of the
mm,
communities, or whether it could be things uh, shot out from your past about addiction and things like that.
mm.
So when you're in those stores of helping around, and when you look back at where you were and what you're doing now, what are the thoughts that go through your mind?
Ha, gratitude. Um, and it's such, I know that's an easy word to say, I guess, but for me, it's gratitude because it's not even that. I mean, I've had success, but really looking back at it, all these, the big accomplishments that I shot for, that I, in my vision, that I strive for when I started this journey, when I started rehabilitating my life 11 years ago, I had these big goals. Speaking at the UN, which made no sense because I didn't know anything to even get me to the UN. I just knew I could just see it. And that started as a child. It never made sense to me. I just could see it. And now, of course, it makes sense. And that was a big goal. And now I've spoken 3 times, going on 4, spoken at the World Bank, spoken to all these global organizations, these big events. Gatherverse too. I want to give a shout out to them because they do a great job. But honestly, looking back at it, it's the little blessings along the way. Whether it's a message saying, "Hey, I'd like to have you back on my podcast." You have to understand, Thomas, I'm not invited to a lot of people's podcasts because what I talk about makes people uncomfortable sometimes. I can be intense, but this is who I am. It takes an intense person to do what I'm doing, and to fight through what I fight through. It's the little blessings, the little reminders, the little messages saying, when I think no one's hearing me, when someone will speak life into me. It's somebody that's given me a home, a place to sleep, provided shelter for me, provided food. It's those things. Because anytime we surrender our will for the purpose that we're created for, and we go all in on that, the hero's journey, whatever you want to call it, the path to purpose, following Jesus, whatever, you can call it whatever you want. But the fact is, when we surrender to that, we learn to be grateful, because I can promise you one thing. My life before giving my life to God was way easier than my life now. And that was, I overdosed 6 times, was in jail 6 times. I had dissociative identity disorder, ASD. I mean, my life was a wreck, broken homes, broken families. I was a deadbeat dad. I was a piece of crap, got HIV, was a chemsex addict for 20 years. All that, easier.
Wow.
Living in purpose is the most challenging thing anyone can ever do. But I will tell you this right now. It is the only time in my life that I've had joy. And getting to learn the joy in suffering is the greatest gift of all. And all of it came from choosing the purpose I was created for. And so I have gratitude, because if it wasn't for those little blessings and those little people showing up out of nowhere, people that didn't even know me, that felt prompted in their spirit to send me a message to say, God's not done with you yet. Those moments, I don't want to say this to everyone listening. When you feel prompted in your spirit to do something, and even when it doesn't make sense, do it. Do it. You have no idea. You may save someone's life. Maybe you're giving a word or a vision for someone. You can respectfully address it, not like, God told me to tell you. That's going to make people run away. There's a gentle way to do it. But when you feel prompted in your spirit to do something, if you're obedient to that, you can change the world, because the person that you may impact, or the group you may impact because of what you shared, can change the trajectory of their life forever. You can bring hope in the darkest places. And I think about the phone call that I got. Her name's Annette. God bless this woman. I wish I could reconnect with her. But the day I was going to kill myself, what little money I had, I was basically going to go out like a rock star with the drugs and all the crazy stuff that I did, and I was going to end it. I got a phone call and presented an opportunity, not a job, not money, not the shelter, not the things that I desperately needed in that time, but it was an opportunity. And if I would have rejected that opportunity, I would never be doing what I'm doing today. I wouldn't be alive. I'm pretty sure I would not be alive. But I'm also grateful, because that is what revealed that moment in time to show up and volunteer is what gave me my first opportunity that set the stage for everything else I've been able to do in my life. The best-selling books, the award-winning movie that we made with no money. All of these things that we've been blessed to achieve would not have happened had that person not been obedient to offer me an opportunity. I had a choice. Could have said no. I would have died. But I chose to serve. And that pulled me out of the darkness long enough to start to see what was real for me and see what God had for me in a much more clear way. So be obedient to that call. Be obedient to that prompting. You have no idea. Even if it seems crazy, I'm telling you, it can change someone's life forever, and maybe even your own.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that. And guys, he just mentioned it in passing, whether he mentioned about uh, getting into jail a couple of times, um, having HIV, having different disorders, being a chemsex addict, totally into the world of addiction. You name it. There were have been being homeless, poverty, you name it. Yes, Joshua has gone through it. But as you mentioned, there are times in life when there is a calling, and being open and surrendering to it can be absolutely life transformative. So, Joshua, you're in this particular mission, as you mentioned, is that yes, God has not been done with you. There's a lot more that you've been working on. Could you tell me some of the projects that you have been working on currently and what you envision in the near future?
Well, I want to keep it simple,
Okay.
because like, and actually how I want to answer the question is this. For a long time, I've lived in service to other groups for a long time. And
Hmm.
and I get offered opportunities to join boards or join organizations. And I got to tell you, every time I've done that, I've regretted it. It's not that I
Oh.
don't believe in what I'm doing. It's
Hmm.
not. It's that when we are created to do something, we need to do that. And some
Okay.
people are not meant to be under someone else's thumb. Some people
Hmm.
are meant to be the one to lead, to take the bullet, so to speak, and to drive the train.
Okay.
And that's what I was created for. And I've learned that sometimes for me, it's not ideal, and I'm not really fulfilling what I'm called to do when I join these organizations to try to do things the way that maybe somebody else wants me to, that doesn't line up with either my values, my health, or whatever. And so I've gone off the path a few different times in my career to try to help other people, to help other organizations,
Hmm.
but none of those organizations stand for what I stand for in the way that I stand for it, in the way that I was uniquely made, in the way that my unique experiences shaped me, in the vision that I've been given. I must lead the charge for this particular cause. No one is more qualified in the world to fight for the underserved the way that I am. My trajectory and my journey through life is God has shown me behind the scenes of every illegal and legal business you can imagine. And yes, that means human trafficking, sex trafficking, organ harvesting, and so on. The medical, the healthcare system, the politics, Hollywood. I've been able to see behind the curtain. That's a unique view that separates me from the rest of the world, because not many people have been able to experience what I have of anybody. Therefore, the calling on my life is to lead. And so for me, I'm done. Never again will I work for any other organization. I will support, though,
Hmm.
thousands of organizations through the work I do, the mission, because being the world's mayor is not about me. It's about elevating people like yourself into your areas of greatness, your positions of greatness, of genius, and then doing this for as many people as possible to see them strategically in their greatness up here, not below, up here, and positioning them in a collaborative way to go on to solve some of the world's biggest problems. It's not about me. Yes, I'm to lead, but I'm to work with other leaders who are in alignment with me. We can run our perspective organizations. We can collaborate together, but I am not to be under anyone's thumb. And there's a lot of leaders out there like that get impatient with their journey. They get impatient with the timing of their success and like, well, maybe I do need to go over here and work with this organization. But what you're doing is putting the brakes on your own purpose and your own journey by doing that. Now is the time for the people that are called to step up and lead and to not be silenced, to use their voice, to use their wisdom and knowledge to empower others. not to have your voices insulated, especially when you may have limited time, especially maybe when you have limited like if you have limited resources and you can barely take care of yourself, whether it's physically, mentally, financially, whatever, but then you're like bailing off of taking care of yourself and then go give it to other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to be appreciated and respected the way it should be. So if you're a leader, lead in the way that you are called to lead and don't deviate from that path. You will get there much sooner if you stay committed to your own path. It doesn't mean you can't help people, because part of our purpose is to use our gifts, gives our gifts and talents to bless other people. But
Fantastic.
if you're called to lead, lead.
Which gets me to the next question. Again, this is in its own way. You have given me a few nuggets. You're learning from where you were and where you're growing to. There were a few words which I picked up, like gratitude, surrender, lead. But for the listeners, a lot of them at times they may know, or as you mentioned, is that they believe they know some particular thing. But from your experience, what could be maybe around 4 or 5 things that has helped you to grow more powerfully as a human that you are?
One, truth.
Fantastic. Okay.
Truth, but not pushing my truth on others, because even my truth, I'm not talking about what I researched. I'm
Hmm.
talking about my own truth. And even my own truth is limited by my perspective. However, there's a different energy behind truth. If you're vulnerable, I mean, if I'm in a vulnerable place, I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be authentic about it. I'm going to be honest about my story. If I screw up or I do something, I'm going to be honest about it. It's truth. It's also being honest with ourselves. And I want to talk about this. I'm certifiably by the government, by a psychiatrist, insane. I'm
Okay.
certifiably insane as far as what my diagnosis is. I'm disabled because of my mental diagnosis. And sometimes that creeps doubt in my mind. Having dissociative identity disorder, and even though I don't really disassociate, I still have some of the things that go on with that.
Hmm.
And then I'm also on the spectrum, which who isn't at this point? But it creates a very different environment. And so for me, sometimes I let my own doubt get in the way. And if I go try to help another organization and there's a communication issue and I don't understand, like over the years of my life, I've burned bridges because of miscommunication and not understanding. And I really, with all my heart, try to be very upfront and transparent. Like, this is how I communicate. I need to communicate in this fashion for us to understand each other. We need to work with each other. But you can't make other people adjust to how you are. And and
True.
and that's a tough, like that's very uncomfortable and it feels isolating. And I already live in isolation as it is, because of the tremors that I have, the way that I feel frequencies. It's better for me to isolate because of the pain and what it does to my body when I'm around other people. That said, like this being honest with myself about what my real limitations are,
Hmm.
what I need to entrust in God, which is my whole life. But like I just got to stay true to who I am and true to my purpose. And being honest with myself is more important than being honest with others, because honestly, I can't be honest with anyone else unless if I'm being honest with me. So
Yeah.
the one thing, and I believe this is the simplest but most complicated thing to do, is just be honest. Like, truth is something that people are very uncomfortable with. I'm looking right now for stories that most people have never heard of, injustices that are rarely talked about. They never get media exposure. I'm looking for those stories. And because of that, I've been able to have some really wild stories coming out. I'm so excited about these interviews.
Fantastic.
But, but, um,
Sorry.
But the no, it's okay. I'm passionate about telling these stories, but then some of the feedback I'm getting too is, but what happens if my kids get taken? What happens if this? What happens if that? What happens if my ex-husband, takes me to court and blah blah blah? There's a lot of that. There's a lot of fear around truth. And I don't listen, I can only say that you have to be obedient to what you're being led to do. For me, that's putting a spotlight on my shadow world and all the shadow worlds that I'm introduced to. Not to expose people, to expose shadow worlds, injustices, people that need help and resources, the underserved, the marginalized, the people that have been shunned from society, the people that are different and weird and neurodivergent, which are all beautiful, amazing people. But there's this real fear of authenticity because of fear of backlash.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Read my book, The Devil Inside Me. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be rejected from my own church and my own fellow people that believe like me. Like, to be rejected and shunned because I gave an honest testimony is the most batshit crazy thing I can even imagine happening, but it's real. So I get it. I know what it's like to be rejected. I know what it's like to have friends that do not want anything to do with me publicly, or they don't want our real relationship exposed to the world
Mm-hmm.
because of what I talk about. But when they need something or their life is falling apart, I'm the person they come to. And you know what? I accept that. I get it. I get why companies would not want to have my poster next to their logo. I get it. That's why, for me, I'm all in on me and what I'm created to do, and I'm not going to apologize or let anything else stop me from being me, talking about these issues that need to be talked about. God may not tell you to tell the truth, which I think is actually lying to yourself, but God may say you don't need to be transparent. You may, hey, just keep those secrets. Keep that poison in your body. Maybe God's really telling you that. I don't know. But for me, spotlight on my shadow world. There's no secrets. I'm talking about all of it because all of it matters. The truth matters. It's a superpower. It will set people free. It will set us free. It's the most healing thing in the world after it breaks you in half. The truth will break you in half. But my friends, the blessing, the greatest blessing of all comes in the breaking.
Wow, that's that's incredible. And guys, again, if any of these words, statements, or what Joshua has been talking creates a resonance, and you want to reach out, he mentioned one of the most difficult thing is facing your own truth and being truthful. Also, there is another difficult thing which a lot of people shy away from is asking help. If you believe Joshua may not have all the answers, but his journey can get you to people who could provide you with some answers in some way or the other. Reach out to Joshua if you believe you or somebody else that you know requires help in some way or the other. Joshua, as a parting thought, what would you like to tell to the listeners?
My biggest wish for people, honestly, is to recognize that God is inside of you, God is inside of me, God's inside of the animals, the trees, the birds, the flowers, and the trees, yada, yada, yada. And somehow we have forgotten that.
The
A man
divinity.
wears a dress. I mean, a man's going to wear a dress during the Super Bowl halftime show, and people are outraged. So now there's another halftime show that's spot out with conservatives, and it's like people are choosing sides. And I was like, did people not listen to David Bowie? And like, I mean, like gender bending has been around in the entertainment industry forever. And there's all this outrage and lashing out, and there's all of these opinions, but there's no one asking, so you're trans. Okay. Well, I mean, like, why not be curious, like how that happened? Maybe it happened from severe sexual abuse. Maybe it happened because of something that happened in their home. Maybe they were truly, truly born that way. But how do we know? How do we know without asking? How do we know without being sincerely curious about our fellow man? Because I can tell you right now that I don't think any of us are really, I mean, I guess maybe some people are born psychopaths. I don't know. But there's a lot of people out there like myself with that has DID and ASD. Well, I didn't have DID when I was born. I was molested over and over and over again. I was physically abused over and over again. I had all kinds of abuse. That's how I got DID. And part of that DID also confused my sexuality. I didn't know what was real because I didn't know who I was day to day. I mean, but I'm still a good guy and I've healed. I've done the work to heal. Thank God for the people that came in my life, and thank God for coming into my life truly and giving me the courage to change. Like, I'm grateful for that. But like, I have such a heart for people that are normally judged and ridiculed because I get it. And I have actually take the time to seek to understand because I want to understand. I don't know everything. Heck, I've always been, I fight for women's rights. But here's the thing. It's taken me through educating myself and truly, truly learning how the world works to realize so much of the world has been rigged against women. I mean, even facial recognition technology is typically done mainly on men. So therefore, facial recognition technology doesn't work as well with women. Crash test dummies designed men, not women. Men created the tampon. I mean, so it's like we are not giving a voice to the people that really need it. We're shutting up people. Well, they're told to sit in the back and keep your mouth shut. That's got to stop, because it's caused this division and separation. And then when you push people into an area of desperation, where they're just screaming to be heard, then they come across like crazy people. But if you keep silencing people over and over and over again when we're meant to have a voice, how do you think they're going to act? They're going to be pissed. They're going to march. They're going to riot. They're going to do these things because they've had enough of being treated like they're nobody. How about, instead of having an opinion about things that we don't really understand, how about we start asking more questions? And how about, instead of sharing opinions all over social media, how about we start sharing our own stories?
Beautiful. Love that.
Oh, God.
Wonderful. I mean, one of the things which I could take away from this thing is, before judging, pause and be kind. And that could open up many unknown doors or facets of mind which you have never even thought about. So, Joshua, with this, I would like to say thank you for the time and space that you've given me, the conversation. It has been, as always, very, very interesting having this journey with you, even though it has been for a very short time. But what we have learned is it is very, very loaded about what you come with.
Hmm.
So, guys, listen, pause. And again, I say, if there is a way that this touches you in some way or the other, and if you believe you want to reach out, you can reach out to Joshua, you can reach out to me. We are always there. Thank you, Joshua. Have a
Love it, brother.
wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you.